Hi, everybody. Here's my court brief assignment that is due on November 1st. So let's just go over the case name first. State of Maine, Special Education Due Process Hearing. The date was October 31st, 2017. It was the Parents versus Falmouth School Department. Just change this really quick. There we go. Issues of the case. There are four. So the parents of the student believe the son student did not receive free appropriate education in the least restrictive environment from October 2014 and moving forward to 2017. The other question was, did the student's IEP in 2015-2016 school year provide him with a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment? Now, the third question, did the student's IEP in 2016-17 provide a school year provide him with a free and appropriate public education in least restrictive environment? And last question, if student was not provided with FAPE during these periods, free and appropriate education, will there be an entitlement to compensatory of some kind? And so we'll find out. So here's some facts of the case. So there was a student, parents who had moved from one school district to Falmouth, and prior to doing so, their student was eligible for special education related services under multiple disabilities, comprised of other health impairments like ADHD. Student qualified for basic reading and reading fluency. The neuropsychological evaluation administered test there at that school had a full-scale IQ of 100, and it's known the results of that were anxiety disorder, trichotillomania. That's basically pulling your own hair out. ADHD, learning disabilities in reading, written language, and math. Family moved to Falmouth to have students' needs met better in November 2013. These reading skills were to be increased by one level during the school year. Ms. Dunn was the special education teacher, the student special education teacher during the time he was at Falmouth. She was highly specialized in Spire in the Wilson reading program and had many years, 28 years of experience. ESY has been recommended to keep from skills from diminishing. That was the recommendation from Falmouth School. Student struggles with sight words. That was also one of the observations. Small progress was made on his IEP, is now in the 6th percentile, but progress was slow. Falmouth School District added more time in language arts for specialized services after seeing that result. Parents were concerned that he did not have many friends and other kids would make fun of him. So along with his educational needs not being met, he was not having a great time adjusting to his new surroundings. Other kids were making fun of him, and that's never a good way to start in a new school. Students falling further behind compared to his peers of the same grade. Behavioral specialist is recommended by Ms. Dunn, even though the parents do not think that behavior is or should be an issue in any of the classes, and it's not severe. Next, at some point, increase to 6 hours for reading services are made. Student made limited progress on reading goal. 80% met. The goal is 90%, but difficulty in independent reading was noted. NWEA fell from 10% to the 2nd percentile. That also raised an alarm to the parents. Student is inconsistent with his work. One day he gets it. Another day totally forgets how to read certain words. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, Siasco School is first mentioned in this. It's a special purpose school approved by the state of Maine. Math tutoring was beneficial for student because the student had started math tutoring and it was proving to be working. He came home one day and said, "Hey, I think I get division now." So that kind of got the parents thinking that maybe this private school was more appropriate for their son, the student. Academic evaluation done. Parents wanted someone else to do it, but Miss Dunn did that one. Below average scores were in decoding, oral reading, fluency, special spelling, math fluency, very poor in rapid naming. Falmouth did a psychological evaluation. Now, instead of being in the normal average range, he was in the low average range. In February 2016, there was a triennial evaluation. His new eligibility was now multiple disabilities due to a combination of his learning disabilities and OHI based on ADHD. Slow progress was noted during that IEP. Testing done by someone at the private school on the student in April 2016. Same finding as before, but recommendations to do the intensive remediation that they have there for symbol imagery and fluency and recognition. Summer hours also recommended for 120 to 130 hours. So parents decided student will now go to the new private school from 7:45 to 12:45 in the morning, basically. And that would start May 2nd. On August 24th, the parents from the Falmouth school, their son would be enrolled in Asiako's school full-time. Student was much happier, made many friends, and was seeing improvement in reading skills. Reading avoidance was gone now. Accuracy, there's a chart here. I did my best to replicate it on the slide, but accuracy basically went from February 2016 to March 2017. So accuracy is in reading, so it's went from first percentile to 16th. Fluency went from second to 9th percentile. Comprehension went to 25th percentile. There was no other reading before that. Symbol imagery went from 7th to 35th percentile. That's a pretty good gain. And grade level reading from 3.7 to 6.5, which was what the parents wanted originally. Here's some other percentiles from the KTEA3 assessment. Letter and word recognition went from 5th to 16th percentile. Spelling stayed the same at 4th percentile. Nonsense word decoding went from 3rd to 30th percentile. Word recognition went from 3rd to 4th percentile, and fluency decoding went from 2nd to 10th percentile. Side note, nope, never mind. Don't pay attention to the side note. Holding, okay. Actually, that's a good side note. I'm sorry, apologize. State, just a side note before I get into this. State is not required to put a specific methodologies for student at parents' request. They're not required to. But later on, when we get to the order, I guess there are exceptions. So the holding, okay. Question 1, the parents of the student believe the student did not receive a free, appropriate education, least restrictive environment from October 2014 and forward with regards to his IEP. It was noted the school made good attempts to remedy the reading deficits, but there were no adjustments made to the student. No improvement was made in decoding words. It was shown that the student made better progress in smaller groups. Students needed high amount of teacher support. Students' goals were changed to make appropriate progress towards them. This is usually done for more severe situations, but it should not have been done in this case because of the uniqueness of the student and the needs of the student were not met. So Ms. Dunn should have tailored her instruction more towards his unique area of need, not change the goal. Why was the student not reaching the goal? That's the question. Ms. Dunn did not alter her instruction when it was known that the student could not identify words in one setting and not in another. Not enough explanation of why Wilson was used and not any other type of program if the program was not working. Too much weight placed on assessments. Refusing ESY was not a problem in this case because if anything was lost, it was made up shortly. And in this case, nothing was really gained at the Falmouth school. Very little gain. The second question was, did the student's IEP in 2015-16 school year provide him with free and appropriate public education LRE? District did not explore other programs for students. Orthographic processing was the main issue, but that was not addressed in the program, the reading program he was in. In 3 school years, the student only progressed 1 grade level. IEP was not calculated correctly because at some point they did 9 months. They shortened it to 9 months instead of 1 year goals. So, and they deemed that inappropriate. Did the student's IEP in 2016-17 school year provide him with a free and appropriate public education in the LRE, least restrictive environment? So basically, the student required more intensive instruction because of the orthographic disability. The program Seeing Stars program versus the Wilson program do differ. Seeing Stars focused on the orthographic area that was needed. Under IDEA, the choice of methodology is up to the educational agency. That's according to Raleigh 458 US. But in this case, the method sometimes makes a difference and was needed to achieve free and appropriate education. There's another quote that I took from the reading. The 9th district held that school districts should specify a teaching methodology for some students, unless such specificity is not necessary to enable those students to receive an appropriate education. And then I put in the quote and from the court case. A student does deserve to be taught to read sufficiently, even if student might not ever read on par with his peers. If the student was not provided with FAPE during these periods, will there be an entitlement to the compensatory of some kind? The court decided the district denied FAPE 2014 through 2017. Compensatory educator services requested by the parents are intended to place the student in the same position he would have occupied had the district compiled with the IDA, ReadEXL, Readverse, District of Columbia. That's a quote also from the court case, this court case. So the court is granting reimbursement for private school. School did not make FAPE available to the student in a timely manner, and the current placement of the student is appropriate. That's under proper under the Act 471 US 359 370 1985. So basically, the order was Falmouth violated laws on all counts. Falmouth was ordered to reimburse the parents for the cost of the state's tuition to the private school for 2017-18 school year and transportation under IDA. Basically, this program worked for the student, and that was an appropriate placement, and they agreed with the parents, basically. The district argued that there are several reasons why that private school was not appropriate, and they argued that it was not the least restrictive programming. That is not a requirement for unilateral placement to be appropriate under IDEA. Yes, you're supposed to place your student in the least restrictive environment, but it has to be appropriate for their needs as well. The second objection was the private school had no more educational success with the students' reading difficulties. That was false. Evidence is, there is evidence, maybe not in formal assessments, but from the student being a non-reader to a reader and other statistics that they showed while he was in class. The third argument the district came up with was the program that the private school provided had delivered an ever-changing collection of educational technicians, and they thought that was not appropriate. But the student was obviously benefiting from different techniques, different types of teachers going through the program there, the intensive program there. Lastly, the district alleged that the parents failed to present evidence of actual educational harm. This was obvious there was educational harm. Even noted that Ms. Dunn had said, while he was successful in participating in group projects, the group, he was not able to truly show it independently. And they were not able to specifically identify orthography of issues until later, even though it was apparent to Ms. Dunn exactly what was going on. So here's my critical question for you guys. Do you think the school did everything in their power to provide an appropriate service with the correct program for the student? Did they not explore more options because Falmouth thought they had the best option? I personally think, quick note on this, is they could have definitely looked at other sources, especially when 2 years go by and there's very little improvement. Something has to change, whether it's a special ed teacher, a program, or anything like that. But I think they kind of stuck with it for too long. And if something's not working, it might be time for a change. Here's my citation page right here. Hope you enjoyed the video. I did not know there was a case so recent in 2017 that had to do with appropriate placement and a student actually getting pulled and put into a private school and having that work for the parent. I've always wondered if that's actually worked, and in this case it has. And it's very interesting, and I'm glad the parents got reimbursed for the private school. So thank you for watching.